The boy was only 12, drowning in red Fs while his billionaire father called him worthless and prepared to ship him off to boarding school. No tutor, no specialist could help. That's when Marissa, the new maid, walked in and noticed something nobody else saw. She had lived that same silent struggle once and carried the method her late mother used to save her. Little by little, she began to unlock what the world had missed, and when the test results came back, the entire mansion was left stunned. Before we go any further, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us till the very end, and if this story moves you, drop your thoughts in the comments and share it with a friend. Now, let's begin. It started with paper. Paper crumpled and tossed into corners of a room that felt too big for a 12-year-old boy. Test sheets littered his desk like broken promises, each one marked with red ink, bold Fs cutting deeper than any scolding ever could. The boy sat slouched at the edge of a mahogany chair, pencil pressed hard between his fingers. His blonde hair, usually neatly brushed by his nanny, hung limp over his forehead as he tried again to copy the words in front of him. But the letters refused to stay still. They flipped, danced, slipped off the page until they became something else entirely. The mansion around him hummed with wealth. Marble floors that echoed, chandeliers that never flickered, the scent of polished wood mixed with expensive cologne. And yet, in all that luxury, the boy felt small, cornered by failure. His father's voice was the sharpest thing in the house, a man with an empire built on contracts and skyscrapers. He had no patience for weakness. Standing in the doorway, he held the test paper like it was evidence in a trial. His words cut more than the grade itself. Worthless. That's what this is. Worthless. The boy didn't cry. He was used to this tone. Used to his father's sighs of disappointment. Used to the way servants lowered their eyes when he passed, whispering that maybe the son wasn't cut from the same cloth as the father. That evening, by the dining hall, two maids whispered as they cleared the table, "Another tutor quit. You hear? Rich people think money can buy brains. Poor kid. He looks lost." But when they saw the boy peek from the stairwell, they went silent, pretending to busy themselves with silverware. The father's solution was already forming. He had tried tutors, flown in specialists from abroad, filled notebooks with expensive learning programs. None worked. His patience was gone. "Maybe a boarding school will straighten him out," he muttered to his assistant. "Someplace where they don't tolerate failure." The boy overheard. The words echoed louder than the clicking of his assistant's pen. Boarding school. To him, it wasn't just a new place. It was exile. A place where worthless children were sent away to be forgotten. Late that night, the boy sat on his bed, clutching the crumpled test paper. His room, lined with trophies his father had bought rather than earned, felt heavy. He stared at the F like it was carved into him. He whispered to himself, not angry, not defiant, just tired, Maybe I really am broken." And yet, in the silence of that massive mansion, something was about to shift. A new maid was scheduled to start the next morning. She would walk in carrying nothing but a worn leather handbag and a history she rarely spoke of. She didn't know yet, but she was about to find herself staring at the same pain she once carried as a child. The boy had no idea, but the first crack of light was already on its way through the mansion's polished walls. The morning she arrived, the mansion staff barely noticed her. Marissa Johnson, 32, dark-skinned, tied back curls under a simple scarf, walked in through the service entrance with a worn leather handbag hanging from her shoulder. Her shoes were scuffed, her uniform plain. To the other maids, she looked like just another replacement, someone who would come and go within a month. As she unpacked her cleaning supplies in the staff room, two cooks whispered over the clatter of pans. She's the new one. Yeah, it won't last long. The boy drives people out faster than spoiled milk. They chuckled softly, shaking their heads. Marissa didn't answer. She learned long ago that the loudest people often saw the least. She just placed her supplies neatly, hands moving with the discipline of someone raised to respect every task, no matter how small. By late afternoon, she was dusting near the study when she heard the sound, an eraser scratching furiously against paper, followed by a groan. She peeked through the half-open door. There he was, the boy, shoulders tense, blonde hair falling forward, as he tried again and again to copy a single line from his textbook. Each time he pressed harder, and each time he ended with another angry scribble. The paper was torn at the edges, his fist red from gripping the pencil too tight. Marissa froze in the doorway. Her chest tightened. She had seen that look before. Wide eyes that begged the page to make sense, frustration boiling into shame. That was her childhood. She remembered sitting on a cracked kitchen chair while her mother traced letters in the air, saying gently, "They don't hate you, baby. They just look different to you. We'll figure them out together." The memory stung. Her mother had passed years ago, but the lesson never left. She stepped into the room quietly. The boy didn't notice at first. When he finally looked up, his face was guarded, as if ready for another scolding. Instead, she smiled softly. "You grip that pencil like it's a sword. No wonder the paper's fighting back." The boy blinked, confused. No adult had ever spoken to him like that. Marissa didn't push further. She just picked up a fallen paper, smoothed it out, and placed it gently on the desk. Then she went back to dusting, humming low under her breath. The boy stared after her, his frown shifting into something else, curiosity. That evening, as the staff gathered in the kitchen, whispers spread again. "Did you see her in the study, acting like she knows better than the tutors?" She'll end up like the rest. Wait and see." Marissa heard every word, but she didn't flinch. She wasn't here to impress the staff, or even the billionaire who signed her paychecks. She was here because life had taught her patience, and patience was the only thing she had to give. What she didn't realize was that the boy had carried her words upstairs like a secret treasure. Lying in bed, he replayed her voice. No wonder the paper's fighting back. It was the first time someone hadn't blamed him. For the first time in months, he drifted to sleep without the weight of failure crushing him. It started small. One evening, Marissa found the boy again in the study. He was buried in his arms, the lamp throwing tired shadows across his face. He didn't see her at first. His pencil rolled off the desk and clattered to the floor. She bent down, picked it up, and set it in front of him. "You ever try listening to the words instead of fighting them?" she asked softly. The boy frowned, listening. She pulled a chair beside him. Without asking permission, she took the book and traced her finger under a line. Slowly, carefully, she read it aloud, not fast, not sharp like the tutors always had, but like she was letting the words breathe. Then she had him repeat it back to her. At first the letters jumbled, slipping into the wrong order. His cheeks flushed red. He pushed the book away. "See? I can't. I'm broken." Marissa leaned back, her voice steady. "You're not broken. You just see the world in a different rhythm. My mama used to tell me the same thing." She took years to believe her mother's words, but now she passed them on. She let him trace letters on the table with his finger, whispered the sounds instead of rushing him to spell. She broke it down to its smallest pieces like her mother once did. And then it happened. He got through an entire sentence without stumbling. His mouth hung open, then slowly curled into a smile. I did it," he whispered. Marissa grinned, clapped softly, then tapped the page. "See? They don't hate you. You just needed them to slow down long enough to understand you." That night,
he carried the book upstairs and read the same sentence again, under the covers. For once, the words didn't fight him. The days turned into weeks. Every afternoon, when the mansion grew quiet, Marissa slipped into the study. They practiced letters in chalk on the blackboard, sounding them out slowly. Some days were harder than others. Tears, crumpled paper, slamming fists. But she never rushed him, never scolded him. Word spread among the staff. In the pantry, whispers grew louder. "You hear? She's teaching him now. A maid teaching a billionaire's son. Bold, huh? She'll get fired if the boss finds out, mark my words." Yet, when the boys saw her in the hallways, he lit up. He began waiting for her, pencil sharpened, ready for their next session. His handwriting grew steadier, his eyes brighter. One morning, when the father stormed into the study with another pile of test results, he froze. Instead of crumpled papers, he found his son leaning over a workbook, carefully sounding out each line with Marissa by his side. The billionaire's brow furrowed. He didn't say a word, just placed the tests on the desk and walked out. But the boy didn't flinch. For the first time, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he was winning. And Marissa knew this was just the beginning. Test day arrived quietly. No tutors in polished suits, no expensive specialists hovering with clipboards, just a boy, a sharpened pencil, and the lessons whispered to him by a woman the world never thought would matter. He sat at his desk in the study, shoulders steady for once. Marissa lingered in the doorway, not too close, not too far, just there, the way her mother had once been. She didn't correct him, didn't whisper answers. She only gave him the nod, the one that meant, "You can do this." When the paper was done, he walked it to his father's office himself, hands trembling, but head held higher than it had been in years. The billionaire looked up from a mountain of contracts, irritated at the interruption. He took the paper without interest. But then, his eyes caught the mark at the top, his brow furrowed. He turned the page over, scanning every line. An A. Not a pity grade, not a curve. A clean, undeniable A. For a moment, the man just stared, as if the page had betrayed him. The boy stood silent, waiting for the usual sigh of disappointment, but it never came. Instead, the father looked up sharply. "How?" The boy didn't answer. He only turned his head, eyes shifting toward the doorway, where Marissa stood quietly, with her cleaning rag still in hand. The billionaire followed his gaze. For the first time, he really saw her. Not just a staff, not just a name on the payroll, but as the person who had done what money never could. The billionaire leaned back at his chair, the paper still trembling in his hand. A silence hung in the office, broken only by the sound of the boy's small but steady breath. Word spread quickly through the mansion. In the kitchen, staff gossiped in hushed voices. "You hear? The boy aced. No way. That maid, she actually pulled it off. She did what all those fancy experts couldn't." Marissa didn't celebrate. She just went back to polishing silver, her face calm, though her chest swelled with something warm, something she hadn't felt in years. Pride that her mother's lessons had lived on. That evening, the father called her into the study. She braced herself, expecting scolding for stepping out of line, for daring to teach his son without permission. But instead, he set the paper on the desk between them. "You saved him," he said, his voice low, almost reluctant. "Name your raise, and from now on, you don't scrub floors. You will be his tutor." Marissa's throat tightened. She nodded once, steady, but when she left the room, her eyes burned. Weeks turned into months, and the boy's grades continued to climb. Teachers at his school whispered in astonishment, "Is this the same kid? He used to fail everything. He's brilliant. He just needed someone to meet him where he was." At home, the mansion felt different too. Laughter drifted through halls that once only echoed with sharp footsteps and disappointment. The boy no longer hid papers under his bed. He proudly spread them on the fridge, even the ones that weren't perfect, because now he knew progress mattered more than perfection. And the billionaire? He learned something wealth had never taught him. Brilliance doesn't grow under pressure. It blooms under patience. Marissa stayed by the boy's side, not as a maid anymore, but as a guide. To him, she wasn't just the one who taught him to read. She was proof that even the people the world overlooks carry miracles inside them. Because sometimes all it takes is one person who refuses to give up to remind you that you were never broken to begin with. If this story moved you, remember sometimes the greatest power isn't money or status, it's patience and compassion. Share in the comments. If someone once believed in you when nobody else did, they'll subscribe now because tomorrow I'll share another story that will stay with you long after it ends.